New data is in from overnight as 4 million travelers flew by airplane this holiday weekend. This is presidential weekend. And a million people per day, down about 45%. And this is after the airlines met with the Biden administration, and initial guidelines were going to suggest that they have to be proof of COVID-free travel before people got on planes, but ultimately those restrictions were not put in place. Meantime, over the weekend, the CDC announced guidelines, 5 steps to determine whether schools reopen, and those guidelines additionally had nothing about vaccination or COVID testing. The question is whether stimulus, the third stimulus package items, are going to be tied more to economic data like unemployment rather than vaccination. Recent reports suggest there's concern that the Biden administration is gauging stimulus and economic development based upon how many people have been vaccinated instead of on how many people are unemployed. Those are 2 different numbers. And in this recording, I go over what is in the third stimulus package, whether it's hazard pay, business grants, FPUC, EIDL, the stimulus check, of course, and also rent, utilities, food, and more. I go over all the details, and you'll see how they're impacted based upon unemployment numbers and not based upon vaccination numbers. It's a big afternoon's recording. I'm so glad you're here on Third Stimulus Check and Third Stimulus Package. Good afternoon, and this is LALATE, live from Los Angeles, from Wall Street to Main Street, my home to your home. Thank you for joining me on LALATE, the most comprehensive business channel there is, and the most interactive. I'm next live with you with What the Chuck. This is part of the 3-program programming block on Afternoons LA. It started right before with Check, that went over in detail your stimulus check and the deal provisions. And then in this recording, I'm going over the other items. So if you missed that show, catch that. And next, join me live with What the Chuck shortly after this. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell on the front channel so you get alerts, and also like this video. Meantime, if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. In this report, I'm going to go over why the new airline numbers over the weekend, the new CDC guidelines, and the new economic numbers suggest sort of a confusion that may be percolating about third stimulus. Is third stimulus gauged upon how many people are vaccinated, or gauged upon how many people are unemployed? I have all those details, and thank you for joining me, and let's get right to the breaking news. The breaking news is that 4 million travelers traveled this holiday weekend, a new report suggests. 1 million travelers every day. The suggestion is that those travelers traveled despite CDC warnings to not particularly travel if you don't have to. But initially, there was a concern that airline travelers were going to be warned not to travel unless they had a vaccine test. The airlines met with the Biden administration before the 3-day weekend, and that report was withdrawn and ultimately not recommended. Moreover, on Friday and then again this weekend, the head of the CDC came out and said she can safely reopen schools based upon 5 factors. Ultimately, she does not determine opening schools as a governor's city or counties that determines it. But she delineated 5 factors in determining whether you can return to in-person learning. Of those 5 factors, none of them had anything to do with vaccination or COVID testing, which is causing confusion of what's going on with the stimulus and the Biden administration. Is it tied to how many people are vaccinated, or is it tied to how many people are unemployed? The Biden administration in recent days has tried to herald the new changing force of how many people are vaccinated. We are growing at about over 1 million new vaccinations a day, over 40 million a week approximately, and we could surpass almost all major Americans in all major cities and states across the country vaccinated by the end of July. If that's the case, is the mentality, is the approach, is the focus of the Biden administration that you don't need stimulus thereafter. It shouldn't be. And that's what Democrats in the Senate are saying this weekend. They're saying that the economic data suggests that people will become vaccinated but still won't have jobs, number one. And number two, the people who are long-term unemployed will become vaccinated but still won't have jobs to go back to. Job creation remains a big problem. There were only 6,000 private sector jobs created in the month of January in the entire United States. There were 800,000 new unemployed people just last week. You could do the math. 800,000 new unemployed people in 1 week and only 6,000 jobs created last month. Yes, too many more unemployed people versus too few jobs being created shows a disparity that has nothing to do with vaccinations. And so here is the concerning question. Why is FPUC, which goes on top of UI and PUA, expired in August? Why is the extension of UI and PUA expired in August? This channel launched on April 25th, and on April 25th, we were 3 days away from the launch of what was to become PUA. I was telling viewers, get on PUA if you qualify for it. Well, guess what? It was set to expire in December. It was not. It was extended under the second stimulus to now go to March. It's now set to expire under the third stimulus package in August. Why? Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary Joe Biden, and President Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, both say that massive re-employment will not be back to normal till next year. So why are unemployment items expiring in August? Why are we creating a financial cliff in the country when data currently suggests we're not on the trajectory to getting better in just a few weeks from now? That's the first issue. And over this week, and coming presumably again this week, Ron Wyden, Democrat out of Oregon, said, I'm not going to co-sign this. I'm not going to do it. He's a senator and he's a Democrat. And when the bill lands in the Senate from the House on February 22nd, he says he's going to vote against it because he doesn't like the FPUC for 3 reasons. One, he doesn't like the amount. It's $400 a week. He says it should be $600 a week. He says that the economic data out of independent reports from Yale suggests people do not stay at home because they get $600 a week versus they do want to go back to work. If they have $400 a week, there's absolutely no data that's empirical that shows that people are staying home collecting unemployment checks rather than returning to work. It shows they just are not returning to work because they have no jobs to return to work to. Number two, he says, I'm not going to agree to a bill where things just keep on expiring. We know when we need unemployment. We need the unemployment assistance. We need it when unemployment numbers are bad. So why is it expiring? And as senators, we shouldn't be having to come back to town every 10 seconds. FPUC, business grants, all these things are very much tied to unemployment. So here we go. This is why things are being made so crystal clear by Ron Wyden, and hopefully I'm explaining it to you as well. The need for stimulus is tied to people who can't afford their bills. And the reason they can't afford their bills is because they're unemployed. Now, people on Social Security and railroad benefits are not normally employed. They needed an additional stimulus check. And I know that you were promised it. It should have been coming, and it should be happening right now. 2 weeks ago, Elizabeth Warren, who wrote all of this, introduced a standalone bill for student loan debt forgiveness of $50,000. That's great. Go write the bill now, Ms. Warren, for $200 a month for SSI and SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits. Write the bill right now so that gets out, because those people need money as well. But for everyone else, they need their unemployment assistance. And if unemployment expires, then guess what? People have no money. They have to pull from their bank accounts. They may not make their rent. They may be evicted. It just snowballs. And so the new report suggests that FPUC should not expire in August, PUA-UI. They should have an automatic rider so that they're continued thereafter. My recommendation is that they are extended 4 weeks out, and if unemployment numbers are still above 500,000 new jobless claims per week. It's as simple as that. If that is the economic factor we're looking at to determine stimulus right now, how many new jobless claims are every Thursday morning, then we certainly know the number, the benchmark. If the number is no good in 4 months, the bill should automatically extend FPUC, UI, and PUA another 4 months. That's item number one. Item number two, it should automatically send out another stimulus check. The stimulus check of $1,400 is not what was promised. It's a dilution. It's a reduction. It's a subtraction. It was supposed to be $1,400 plus $2,000. Now understand, if you are on any type of benefits, or you're a single parent, or you're a single individual, $1,400 plus $2,000 right now, $3,400, would clearly make a big difference for you for probably a few weeks, if not a few months. The fact that it's only $1,400 and it's only $2,000 since March of last year shows it's too little too late. And that ultimately, the president is falling into what his economists have said, don't give relief too little too late, because the economy will never rebound. That's the biggest concern. If you want to do $2,000, well, have a rider in there that says if unemployment's not below 500,000 new jobless claims by the end of April, send out another $2,000 stimulus check. And then 4 weeks after that, or 8 weeks after that, do it again. You can't keep on having people come back to Congress. And the concern is not only that stimulus needs to come on time, number one, is number two, what President Biden said himself, that ultimately Americans can't wait around for Congress to do things. There needs to be a quicker way to get things out. The quicker way is a reoccurring item in the bill. Number three, there is great items in the third stimulus package, like a $3,600 tax credit for a child that is paid as a stimulus check starting in July, $300 a month, and a $3,000 check for a slightly older child. There is a $1,700 college student aid check given to college students as well. There is $1,400 of paid sick leave if you're sick during the pandemic per week. But all those things need more money. EIDL under the third stimulus package is not robust enough. It's $5,000 for a business since the pandemic hit. Now, really, since a pandemic hit in March, you're going to give them $5,000 and here you go. That doesn't cut anything. It barely pays an electric bill. President Biden had promised widespread economic, consistent relief across all businesses. But the bill, the third stimulus package, has a favoritism for the food industry, a deliberate favoritism for the food industry, which gives $5 million to a hot dog stand before it gives even $5,000 to a 40-person employee auto mechanic shop. Doesn't make particularly good sense. Then there's the earned income tax credit of $1,500. This was the one that it seems so obvious. If you're an essential worker and worked during the pandemic and you're waiting for that hazard pay, you're waiting and waiting for it. Well, guess what? There's another hazard pay in there. There's the $1,500 if you made less than $25,000 essential worker. But the third stimulus package has you wait till next year to file your tax return to get it. Again, it should be paid this year, like the children's check is paid this year. There are other things in the third stimulus package that need changing. Whether it's the check or it's the FPUC or it's the grants, the business grants, the paid sick leave, or the hazard pay. Ultimately, in the next few days, we're going to see the bill. And when we see the bill, we see the provisions. But I already know for you what's in the packages that I've delineated for you and what's clearly not in there. And the push needs to start now, today, with the senators to push back and say, this is too small, this is too small, this is too small. You need to go on social media, tag them, call up your senators, call up the other senators, and say these stimulus items need to go bigger. And they need to not expire. Because if they expire, then guess what? They expire in July or August, Congress will be on vacation. They won't be back into session until September. They'll start the work on the bill in September. It'll be done in November, and it'll go out in December. Sound familiar? That's what they did to you last time. If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. If you've also not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. This is the most comprehensive financial channel there is. Give you the most in-depth coverage of all the items of Third Stimulus package. Also like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. I'm next live with What the Chuck. Stay informed, stay focused, and I can't wait to see you on What the Chuck and stay of Ally for more.